Professor Category-9 asked one simple question that day, a question that had silenced entire lecture halls before. Who among you will fight my beast? Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Nobody dared. Because everyone in that xenobiology amphitheater knew what happened to the last student who volunteered. The Academy was the most prestigious military science institution in the assembly, training officers from a dozen species in tactics, biology, and combat theory. Professor Category-9, an ancient Vortex scholar with scars older than most of his students' homeworlds, was legendary for one particular teaching method. He kept a beast, not a simulation, not a hologram, a real, living creature called a Threxel Ravager, kept in a containment pit beneath the lecture hall, brought out only when Category-9 wanted to teach a lesson that words alone could not. The lesson was always the same: respect strength because arrogance gets you killed. Every semester, he asked for a volunteer to enter the containment ring, not to defeat the beast, but simply to last 30 seconds against it. In 15 years, only 3 students had lasted that long. 2 had been hospitalized attempting it. 1 had simply frozen, too terrified to move at all. Today, Category-9 asked the question again, expecting the usual silence. Who among you will fight my beast? The room went cold, quiet, still 42 students from 6 different species suddenly finding their notes very interesting. But then, near the back of the room, a hand rose. Slowly, calmly, without hesitation, every head turned at once. Because the hand belonged to Mia Torres, a human transfer student who had said maybe 10 words all semester. Category-9's eye-ridges lifted, mild surprise flickering across his ancient face. Human, you wish to volunteer? Yes, Professor. Whispers exploded across the room instantly. A Threll student leaned toward his friend. Is she insane? A Draxel cadet scoffed loudly. The human wants a funeral. Category-9 raised a clawed hand, silencing the room instantly. You understand what you are volunteering for? I do. You have seen what happened to the last 3 who tried. I have. Category-9 studied her for a long moment, something unreadable passing behind his ancient eyes. Then step forward, Miss Torres. Let us see what you are made of. The room fell into stunned silence as Mia rose from her seat and walked toward the containment ring, calm, steady, completely unshaken. Nobody understood why she wasn't afraid. They were about to find out. The containment pit hissed open, releasing a wave of heat and the low growl of something ancient and hungry. The Threxel Ravager emerged slowly, easily the size of a small vehicle, its hide covered in bladed plates, for glowing eyes locking onto Mia the instant she stepped into the ring. Every student in the room leaned forward, breath held. Category-9's voice echoed through the chamber. 30 seconds, Miss Torres. That is all you must survive. Mia rolled her shoulders once, settling into a low stance that looked oddly familiar, though nobody in the room could quite place why. Understood. The beast lunged. It moved faster than anything that size should be able to move, claws extended, jaw wide, aiming to end the fight in a single strike. Mia did not run. She stepped sideways at the last possible second, let the creature's momentum carry it past her, and drove her palm into the side of its skull as it passed. The Ravager staggered, confused, more surprised than hurt. Gasps rippled through the lecture hall. Nobody had ever seen a volunteer counter the first strike. Not once, not in 15 years. Category-9's eyes narrowed slightly, ancient instincts sharpening. 10 seconds. The beast recovered fast, swinging its bladed tail in a wide arc meant to sweep her legs out entirely. Mia jumped it cleanly, landing in a roll, putting distance between herself and the creature's next strike. 20 seconds. The Draxel cadet who had mocked her earlier now sat frozen, mouth open, disbelief written across his face. The beast attacked again, faster this time, more desperate, sensing that its usual intimidation was not working. Mia ducked beneath its claws, weaved past its jaws, and using its own forward momentum, redirected it into the containment wall with a controlled shove. 30 seconds, Category-9 announced, voice unusually quiet. The trial is complete. The room erupted, but Mia did not step back yet. Because the beast, humiliated and furious, lunged one final time, ignoring the trial's rules entirely. Carwell shouted a warning, but it was too late to intervene. Mia turned, calm as still water, caught the creature's foreleg mid-strike, and using pure leverage, flipped its entire massive body onto its back. The Ravager hit the ground hard, stunned, defeated, whimpering like a creature 3 times smaller. Silence swallowed the lecture hall completely, because nobody, in the entire history of Carwell's teaching career, had ever ended a trial with the beast on the ground. Carwell stared at Mia, ancient eyes wide with something between shock and awe. Where did you learn to move like that? Mia straightened, breathing steady, not even winded. Home. Your homeworld teaches this? Mia hesitated, something heavier passing behind her eyes. My homeworld didn't teach me. My childhood did. The room leaned in, sensing there was more to the story than anyone expected. Carwell's voice softened, uncharacteristically gentle for a professor known for his sharp tongue. Explain. Mia looked down at her hands, old scars visible along her knuckles. Marks that told a story words alone could not fully capture. I grew up in a conflict zone. Somewhere the assembly never bothered documenting, because it wasn't considered strategically important. She paused, memories flickering behind calm eyes. By the time I was 12, I had already learned how to disable someone twice my size. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. The lecture hall had gone completely silent, every species present suddenly understanding they were looking at something far more complex than a simple transfer student. Carwell studied her for a long moment. The ancient scholar who had seen countless warriors from countless worlds finally understanding what made this particular human different. You did not fight my beast today because you were brave, he said slowly. You fought it because you have already faced worse. Mia met his gaze steadily. Much worse, Professor. The Draxel cadet who mocked her earlier rose slowly from his seat, something shifting behind his proud features, respect replacing arrogance for the first time. I am sorry, he said quietly. I misjudged you completely. Mia offered a small, tired smile. Everyone does at first. Carwell raised a hand, silencing the murmur still rippling through the room, his voice carrying a weight it had never held before. Let this be the lesson today, more valuable than anything I could have taught through the beast alone. He turned to face the entire class, ancient eyes sweeping across every species present. We assume strength comes only from size, from claws, from armor plating. We assume the young human species, so new to the galaxy, must be fragile because they lack these things. He looked back at Mia, something like reverence entering his voice. But true strength is forged in survival. And this young woman has survived more than most of you will ever be tested by, in this room or beyond it. The room fell into a different kind of silence now, heavy with respect instead of doubt. News of what happened in Carwell's lecture hall spread across the academy within hours, whispered in hallways, discussed in mess halls, the story of the human girl who ended a 15-year unbeaten streak without breaking a sweat. But Mia did not care about the attention. She cared about one thing only, that for the first time since arriving at the academy, she did not feel like an outsider pretending to belong. Carwell found her later that evening, alone in the training yard, watching the twin moons rise over the academy grounds. You could have refused today, he said, sitting nearby. Nobody would have blamed you. Mia shook her head slowly. I raised my hand because staying silent never protected anyone. Not where I come from. Carwell nodded slowly, understanding settling deeper now. Your species carries wounds the assembly has never bothered to ask about. Most people don't ask, Mia said quietly. They just assume. I will not make that mistake again, Carwell said, his ancient voice carrying quiet sincerity. Not with you. Not with any of your kind. Mia looked up at the twin moons, thinking of home, of the childhood that shaped her, of the silence she had broken today in more ways than one. Then maybe, she said softly, that's the real lesson. And as the moons rose higher over Granathi Academy, Professor Caruel finally understood something that 15 years of teaching had never shown him. That the fiercest warriors were not always the loudest or the largest or the most feared. Sometimes, they were the quiet ones in the back of the room. The ones who had already survived everything, long before anyone thought to raise their hand.